Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we continue following the turbulent love story of the single mother Lythica and the hardships she faces every single day. In the previous episode, after countless struggles, Lythica decided to return to her old home, a place full of memories but also scars. Fortunately, Hung did not hesitate to bring her back, becoming a firm support in her stormy days. Yet behind Hung's strength lies a heavy burden. In order to repay his mother's debts, he was forced to sell his own house. Now, still drowning in debt, he can only stay temporarily at a close friend's place, living a precarious life. Understanding his situation, Lythica opened her heart and asked Hung to live with her and little Tony. It was not only about sharing a roof, but also sharing love, responsibility, and dreams for the future. Touched by her sincerity, Hung agreed, and from that moment, the three of them, Lythica, Hung, and Tony, officially began a new life together under one small, humble home. At first, their happiness was simple yet enough to fill their hearts. Dinner now carried Tony's laughter, Lythica's busy hands preparing meals, and Hung's figure diligently fixing every corner of the house. Each ordinary moment brought them a peace they had never felt before. But happiness never comes easily. They knew very well that ahead still lay many hardships, unpaid debts, unstable jobs, and society's judgmental eyes. Would love and their bond be strong enough to carry them through it all? Stay tuned for today's episode to witness the warm moments they share, as well as the new challenges awaiting them. Don't miss a single detail, because the story of Lythica and Hung promises to hold many more surprises. After her heartfelt conversation with Hung about returning to their old home together, Lythica knew it was time to leave the place that had sheltered her for so long. That afternoon, the sky turned gray, and the wind brushed gently across the porch, as if foreshadowing a farewell. Lythica turned to bid goodbye to Mother Ha and Ha. What seemed like an ordinary moment carried a heavy silence, for deep down, everyone knew that from this moment on, their small home would no longer have the presence of two familiar figures. Mother Ha stood leaning against the wooden doorframe, her eyes reddened. She tried to hold back her tears, not wanting to make Lythica feel even more conflicted. Her frail hands trembled as they clasped Lythica's, both reluctant to let go yet also filled with blessings to give. Her warm, loving voice broke the silence. "You must be truly happy, Lythica. It doesn't matter where, as long as you have a home, and someone who loves you and little Tony. Always remember, this place will forever be open, waiting for you to return." Hearing those words, Lythica nodded gently, tears brimming in her eyes. She knew Mother Ha had come to love her like a daughter, and that the days they had lived together had left a deep mark, not only in her heart but also in everyone's hearts here. Ha stood quietly beside them. He didn't say much, but his gaze carried countless memories that words could never convey. Since the day Lythica and Tony appeared, the once gloomy house he shared with his mother had been transformed. The dreary afternoons had been replaced with Tony's cheerful laughter echoing through every corner. Ha, once a stubborn and careless young man, had grown into someone thoughtful and caring. He had taught Tony how to play football, helped Lythica pick vegetables, and even, at times, cooked dinner alongside his mother, something he had never done before. The once silent home had become full of life. Meals were no longer wordless, evenings were no longer empty. Instead, there were conversations, laughter, and the sound of a child's joy. Lythica and Tony had not only brought happiness but also hope. That was why, when Lythica decided to leave, both Ha and his mother felt as though a part of them was missing. The emptiness was undeniable, leaving their hearts restless. Yet they understood. Lythica needed to return to her own home, the place tied to her childhood. Though the house was unfinished and patched together, it was her roots, and it was there that she and Hung would continue writing their future. Mother and son chose not to hold her back, for true love is not about keeping someone for oneself, but letting them live where they truly belong. As Hoai and Tony walked down the narrow path leading away, the evening breeze rustled through the trees lining the road. She turned back and saw Mother Ha and Ha still standing at the porch, their eyes following her steps. Those eyes held longing, love, and a quiet pride. Tony also turned back, his small hand waving as his clear voice rang out, "Goodbye, Grandma. Goodbye, Uncle Ha." The sight struck Hoai with overwhelming emotion. Her heart was filled with deep gratitude. The days spent with Mother Ha and Ha, though not long, had become unforgettable memories, a second family that fate had gifted her in the midst of life's storms. As her footsteps carried her further away, their figures slowly disappeared behind the narrow path. Yet in her heart, they remained, like a guiding light illuminating the road ahead. And she whispered to herself, no matter where she goes, their sincere affection will always be her anchor, her strength, as she walks forward with Hung and little Tony to write the next chapter of their journey. After returning to her own home, the very first thing Hoai did was clean everything up. The house, having been left empty for a long time, was covered in dust, the window frames coated with grime, the old curtains discolored, the wooden table darkened with mold. Rolling up her sleeves, she threw open the windows to let in the wind and sunlight. Each sweep of the broom, each stroke of the rag was tiring, but her heart was filled with a quiet peace, for she knew she was slowly rebuilding her home. Hung also lent a hand, fixing broken tiles on the porch and hammering loose planks back into place. Little Tony toddled along behind them, clutching a small cloth, wiping tables and chairs while humming happily. His childish laughter, mingled with the sound of sweeping and hammering, brought the once lifeless house back to life, as if infused with new energy. When the house was finally in order, Hoai returned to her daily rhythm. At dawn, she slung a woven basket across her back and followed the small path leading up to the custard apple grove on the mountain. These trees had been with her family for many years, nurtured by the cool climate and steady rains. The fruit was large, pale green speckled with white dots, heavy in her hand, releasing a gentle, sweet fragrance. She carefully picked each fruit, placing them neatly into the basket. A smile tugged at her lips as she watched the basket slowly fill. Sweat trickled down her forehead, but her eyes shone with hope. Hung stood nearby, reaching up to pluck fruit from the higher branches, while Tony proudly held up fallen fruit, exclaiming, "Mom, I found the sweetest one." When the basket was full, Hoai carried it down to the market. The winding mountain path stretched ahead, but the cool breeze against her face made the journey feel light. At the market, her stall quickly drew attention. People gathered around, not only because of the freshness of the custard apples, but also because they admired the petite, hard-working young woman. "These are Hoai's custard apples. Once you taste them, you'll never forget," one familiar customer eagerly told others. In no time, the full baskets were nearly empty. Some people bought a few, others bought a dozen to gift to relatives. They praised as they bought, "So sweet, so juicy, so fragrant, fruit from the mountains is truly different from the lowlands." By late morning, all the fruit was sold out. In Hoai's hands were neatly folded bills. It wasn't much, but enough for her to feel the joy of honest labor. She looked at Hung and Tony, and the three of them smiled together, the smile of hope, the smile of a new beginning after hardship. That afternoon, back home, Hoai spread out old mats in the yard and poured the small earnings into a pile, while Tony helped her sort the money into neat stacks. Quietly, she told herself, "No matter how hard it gets, it doesn't matter, as long as I can raise my child and rebuild life with Hung." In that moment, she could clearly see the light of a simple but warm future opening before her eyes. After returning to her familiar home, Hoai didn't rest for a moment. She immediately began tidying up. The old house, silent and heavy, was like an old soul awakening from a long slumber. Furniture was covered in dust, the kitchen corners still smelled of dampness, and the thick curtains were caked in grime that blocked out the sunlight. She flung open all the windows, letting the mountain breeze sweep inside. The air carried the scent of fresh grass and damp earth after the rain, chasing away the musty odor and breathing new life into the house. Her small, deft hands moved swiftly, each sweep of the broom across the worn floor, each board wiped clean with a damp cloth. She bent down to pick up broken items, carrying them out into the yard. Sweat dotted her forehead, yet in her eyes shone relief. No matter how hard it was, this was still her home, the place where she would rebuild her life with the man she loved. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside the gate. Hoai looked up, and through the dusty window frame, she saw a familiar silhouette. Hung. He stood there, tall, sun-darkened face, yet his eyes carried a flicker of hesitation. A man who had weathered storms and borne the weight of family, yet now, he seemed strangely unsure. Hoai smiled, brushing the dust from her dress. "You're here. Come in. The house is still a mess, but with your help, it won't take long." Hung stepped inside, his gaze sweeping over the aged walls, breathing in the familiar scent of the house. They sat down by the porch, the quiet filled only with the rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. After a long pause, Hung finally spoke, his voice low and hoarse, each word carefully measured. "Sie. I'm not sure I can stay here just yet. I'm afraid, if I return, the debt collectors will find me, and they'll come to trouble you and Tony. Besides, the friend who's letting me stay is about to leave, and I feel I should remain a few more days to see him off properly." At this, he lowered his head, eyes fixed on the old tiles, as if afraid to meet Hoai's gaze and see disappointment there. But before he could continue, Hoai reached out, gently taking his hand. Her voice was soft yet resolute, her eyes burning with an unshakable sincerity. "Hung, don't think that way. Tony and I, we only have you now. And your mother is gone, and you have no one else. If you keep living in a friend's house, isn't that inconvenient for you both? Whether you come back or not, danger, if it's meant to come, will find us anyway. But if you're here with me, at least I have someone to lean on. And I believe you can protect us." Hung froze. Her small hand carried a strength he hadn't expected. This woman, scarred by so many losses, was now standing before him with remarkable courage. Her words were not only reason, but also love, deep and unwavering, the plea of a woman longing for a true home. She looked straight into his eyes, her voice trembling but her resolve unshaken. "Hung. I've missed you so much. The days apart made me realize how deeply I love you. I don't want to keep waiting in fear anymore. I want to live with you as husband and wife, to cook simple meals together, to put Tony to bed together, to share all the burdens of life together. I believe, as long as we're side by side, we can overcome anything." Hung fell silent. Inside, worry, guilt, debts, and burdens pressed on him, but before him were eyes alight with faith. His heart tightened, then slowly softened. He tightened his grip on her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin spread through him, dissolving the weariness that weighed him down. After a long moment, he exhaled deeply, as if releasing a heavy load. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Perhaps, you're right. I'm tired of running. I don't want you and Tony facing everything alone. If danger comes, I'd rather face it with you both than let you shoulder it alone." A smile glistened on Hoai's lips, her eyes shimmering with relief, as though the dark days of waiting had finally been washed away. She said nothing more, only leaned her head gently against his shoulder. Outside, the mountain wind still blew, but within the small house, their warmth began to light the days ahead. In that moment, Hung understood, debts may remain, danger may still lurk, but this house, this woman, and that child, they were his true home. Hearing Hoai's heartfelt words, Hung could no longer hold back his emotions. He clasped her hand tightly, his eyes glistening though he tried to steady his voice. "Sie. I'm sorry. I cannot yet give you a proper wedding, cannot give you the rightful title that other women deserve. If life were better, I would bring you home in celebration, bow before our ancestors, receive our parents' blessings, and let everyone witness you becoming my wife openly, honorably. But now, times are too hard. I truly don't want you to suffer the pain of having me move in quietly, without a word, without recognition." His voice broke. His heart was full of love but also heavy with shame. He had once dreamed of a wedding filled with joy, but now he was burdened with the fear of not being able to give his beloved what she truly deserved. Before he could continue, Hoai interrupted. She gently pressed a hand to his lips, her gaze firm yet overflowing with love. Her voice was soft, yet her words cut through his hesitation like a blade. "Hung, I don't need any of that. All I need is you. As long as you are here, loving me and Tony, that's enough. A wedding, whether it happens now or not, it doesn't matter. Let's just live together, lean on each other, and get through this hard time. When we are stable, when life is peaceful again, we'll walk into the ceremony hand in hand. Even if it's late, it will be more complete than anything else." Her words, spoken with a gentle smile and eyes sparkling with faith, showed she cared nothing for appearances. What she longed for was only Hung's presence and his love. Those words overwhelmed Hung. It felt as though the heavy burden on his heart was lifted, replaced by a surge of powerful emotion. He pulled Hoai into his arms, holding her tightly, afraid to lose the most precious part of his life. His voice was hoarse, but filled with resolve. "Ca, you've given me more courage than I ever had. I promise, from today on, I won't let you and Tony wait or be alone anymore. I'll go back to my friend's place, pack my things. Tonight, I'll return to stay with you and Tony. From now on, the three of us will truly be a family." He released her, gazing deeply into her eyes one last time before standing up. "In just a few hours, I'll be back. And, on the way, I'll pick Tony up from school. I want him to come into this house and see both his parents waiting for him. I want today to be a day he'll never forget." Hoai nodded silently, tears rolling down her cheeks, but a radiant smile spread across her lips. In that moment, she realized, the house was not only cleared of dust, it had just been illuminated with the warmth of a family being born. Outside, the gray clouds parted, revealing a stretch of blue sky. A new chapter had truly begun. As Hung left, Hoai's heart overflowed with indescribable joy. The moment his figure disappeared behind the small path, her heart seemed to dance. From today, she would finally have a true home, a place where the man she loved would be by her side, sharing every joy and sorrow, protecting and embracing her. She looked around the house, a smile still lingering on her lips. That happiness gave her new strength. Rolling up her sleeves once more, Hoai continued cleaning. Every corner was wiped more carefully, every old item neatly arranged. Each sweep of the broom, each stroke of the cloth carried her excitement, as though she were preparing for a brand new beginning in life. When the house was tidy, Hoai stepped into the kitchen. The small kitchen, though simple, felt warm, every wall, every pot and pan seemed to glow with her inner joy. She chose to cook Hung's favorite dishes, a pot of sweet, refreshing soup, a plate of savory braised pork, and some boiled greens with fragrant garlic chili fish sauce. She seasoned each dish with meticulous care, determined to make their first meal together truly perfect. The aroma from the kitchen spread throughout the house, blending with the fading golden light of sunset. Hoai set the table, laying out a clean cloth, placing bowls and chopsticks neatly. When all was ready, she sat down, waiting, imagining the moment Hung and Tony would step inside. Her heart fluttered, her cheeks flushed with anticipation. Outside, the faint sound of a bicycle echoed. Then came familiar footsteps. The door opened. Hung stepped in, holding Tony's small hand. The boy exclaimed, "Mom, I'm home. Today I came back with Dad." Hoai rushed out, hugging Tony tightly before lifting her gaze toward Hung. Their eyes met, brimming with emotion. Hung smiled gently and nodded, as if to say, "I've returned, and from now on, I'll always be here." The three of them sat together around the table. The warm yellow light shone on their radiant faces. Tony chattered excitedly about school, Hoai picked food for Hung, and Hung silently watched the mother and child, his eyes filled with love. In that moment, the small house brimmed with warmth. The meal was simple, yet immeasurably precious, for it marked the beginning of a real family. Anyone who witnessed the three gathered together would feel their genuine happiness. And in her heart, Hoai thought, "At last, after so many storms, I've found peace. This is the family I've always dreamed of." On their very first dinner together as a true family of three, the small house was filled with warmth. The golden light of the lamp shone down, illuminating each radiant face. Hoai placed a piece of meat into Tony's bowl, ladled some soup for Hung, and smiled softly. After years of enduring hardship, she finally felt such a moment of peace. Slowly putting down her chopsticks, she looked at Hung and whispered, "You know, it's been so long since I've had such a quiet meal. No fear, no worries, just being with the ones I love. It reminds me of when we first met. Life was tough, but my heart was always warm. I hope we can hold on to this feeling forever, and face every hardship together." Hearing her words, Hung was too moved to speak. He reached across the table, grasping her small hand tightly, as if to pour all his love and gratitude into her. His voice was low, warm, and trembling. "See, I feel the same. I don't have much to give you, only this love and sincerity. But I promise I'll always be here, carrying the burdens with you. Together, we'll build a better future." Their eyes met, filled with countless emotions. In that moment, all worries seemed to vanish, leaving only trust and love. Sitting beside them, Tony looked up with a bright smile and chirped, "I promise I'll be good too, so you don't have to worry." They both burst into laughter, the sound chasing away every sorrow. After dinner, as they sat chatting on the porch, Hoai's thoughts drifted to Ha and his mother, the ones who had sheltered her and Tony through their darkest days. With a sigh and a quiet gaze, she murmured, "I think they must be sad now. Ever since Tony and I came, their house was full of laughter. Now that we've left, it's probably fallen back into silence." Hung nodded, feeling the same tug in his heart. "Yes. I've been thinking about that too. They've done so much for us. I want to invite them here for a meal, to show our gratitude." The thought made Hoai smile. She imagined them all gathered around, laughter filling the little house, an unbroken thread of affection and kindness. Hung added thoughtfully, "I also want to help Ha find a more stable job. He's still young, but working himself to exhaustion, it's not right. If he had lighter work with steady income, his life would be much easier." Hearing this, Hoai admiration for Hung deepened. He wasn't only thinking of her and Tony, but also of those who had once helped him. In her eyes, Hung was not just her man, he was a man of kindness and loyalty, worthy of all her trust. The night breeze drifted past, carrying the scent of the earth after rain. They sat together, hearts at ease, knowing that though the road ahead would still hold many challenges, love and gratitude would always be their strongest foundation. Though Hoai and Hung have finally found simple happiness together, sharing the same roof, enjoying the peaceful family meal they had long dreamed of, the road ahead remains full of challenges. For happiness is not built on love alone, but must also withstand the heavy weight of daily struggles. Hung is still burdened by a massive debt. Years of hardship, along with the responsibility of carrying his mother's debts, have left a crushing weight on his shoulders. He has already left the police force, a career that was once his pride, a role that once gave him the purpose of protecting others. Now, without that uniform, he must start over, searching for new work to support his family and slowly repay the debt that looms over him. Inside their small home, dinner may still be filled with laughter, but behind the eyes of both Hoai and Hung hides a quiet worry for the future. With the situation as it is, will they have enough strength to endure together? Will love, empathy, and determination be enough to withstand the relentless pressure of financial struggle? Or, when faced with life's harshest trials, will they falter, be forced to sacrifice, and risk losing the fragile peace they have just found? The answer lies ahead. The happiness of Hoai and Hung has only just begun, but so too have their trials. Will the weight of hardship pull them apart, or will it bind their love closer, stronger than ever before? All will be revealed in the next chapters of their story. Stay tuned, for ahead lie not only struggles, but perhaps, miracles.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Thì hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người video về câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Mình hy vọng rằng video hôm nay sẽ đưa đến cho mọi người nhiều niềm vui và ý nghĩa. Bởi vì video hôm nay thì cũng có buồn vui đan xen. Vui vì Ca và Hùng đã trở về bên nhau cùng sống chung với một mái nhà. Buồn vì trải qua rất là nhiều khó khăn thì cả hai đã thiệt hại nặng nề rất là nhiều luôn về cả thể chất và tinh thần. Buồn nhất là Hùng, anh vừa nhận ra sự tàn ác của người mẹ mình coi mấy chục năm nay giống như mẹ ruột, và lại vừa đánh mất tất cả tài sản để trả nợ cho người mẹ đấy. Và liệu quãng đường tiếp theo sẽ như thế nào khi Hùng đã từ bỏ công việc cảnh sát để có thể ở bên Hoài Ca? Mọi người hãy cùng đón xem ở những tập tiếp theo để biết thêm chi tiết nha. Và hãy nhớ đăng ký kênh mình để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé.